Alright, Blizzard, let's talk heroes. Lachdanan. That's good nostalgia right there. This one comes to us from Varkarrus. Alright, another submission from her. I like her stuff, that's really good to see. And Lachdanan is classified as a tank, or a warrior, or, you know, someone who gets up front and hit things with a sword. His combat trait is Cursed. When in combat, Lachdanan gains 5 curse a second, up to 100. Lachdanan does not generate curse if there are no heroes nearby, and when not in combat, or if there is no enemy heroes nearby, he loses 5 curse a second instead. When he reaches a maximum curse, Lachdanan enters his cursed form. I think I've said the word curse way the hell too much now. Causing him to deal a bonus a bonus minor damage addition to his every auto attack, and have a different set of abilities. But he loses 20 armor and loses 1.5 of his maximum, of his current, not maximum, that's important, HP on every attack. So basically, when he enters a curse state, he becomes less of a tank and more of an attacker, but kind of like Zul'jin, to get the most out of him, you're going to be losing health with every attack. That's fair, that's the balance, so basically you're trading off soaking in damage to dealing it back out. I get that. Well, in cursed form, Lachdanan loses 5 curse a second, double when out of combat. His cooldowns do not reset upon switching forms. And, okay, so his cooldowns don't reset. Okay, so basically, this is kind of like a character you have to balance between building up that curse, but, like, letting it drop back down to 0, so you're still tanky when you need to be tanky, but also, like, oh, crap, like, we don't need another tank right now. All right, ramp up that curse. Let's get some damage going on. No, that's actually really cool. I like that because it's an interesting mechanic having, like, the same character, but perform 2 violently different roles. Like, Varian's a multi-class, yeah, but he could still be tanky in a damage-dealing way, and he could still be a damage dealer in a tanky sort of way. Lachdanan's trait makes it so he is very different on both sides. Like, he's not just a tank that deals a lot of damage. Dealing a lot of damage is what his cursed side is for, and he's not just a cursed guy who can soak a lot of damage because he loses a lot of armor in the process. That's cool, I like that, it's very interesting. Alright, so he's got primary and secondary abilities here, which means one set is obviously going to be his uncursed, and one set will be his cursed. I'm going to assume the primary is his uncursed because it says it starts without him being cursed. Alright, so his Q is Brave Thrust. Lachdanan thrusts forward after a 0.2 second delay, dealing minor damage to the nearest enemy hit and stunning him for 0.5 seconds. It's a very it's Muradin's Storm Bolt. That's what it is. I like that. Passive, auto attacks and Brave Thrusts that hit the enemies from behind generate 5 curse. That's an interesting idea, having the scope and the direction that your attacks hit play a factor in this, because I don't think there's anything in this game and Heroes that actually does that so far. But to me, as someone who's like a fan of tactical games, that makes a lot of sense, because an honorable knight would not engage someone by stabbing them in the back like that. They would engage them, you know, sword to sword. They'd go up front with this stuff. So this, like, punishes dishonorable behavior, which makes sense. It makes sense for Lachdanan, because he was, like, the holy knight. He was the pinnacle of honor. Okay, I like that. Valiant Charge. By the way, we're using the D2 icons again, and I really like that. Lachdanan instantly charges a medium-distance foe. I could use some comparisons here. Medium distance, is that like Diablo's charge? Is that what you consider medium distance? 'Cause that's got a pretty wide berth on it there, so... Like, you know, back me up here on this one. Let me know what you mean by medium distance. And he becomes unstoppable for the duration. If he hits an enemy, he stops and deals minor damage, silencing them for 0.5 seconds and gaining a small shield to last 4 seconds. Once again, it fits. Like with Diablo's, it does give him a shield. The only thing I will say to this one, though, is this is actually better than Diablo's Shadow Charge in, like, quite a few ways. The difference is this has a silence, whereas Diablo's is a stun, which you could argue is better, but Diablo's also has to hit a piece of terrain or some kind of obstacle for him to apply the stun and the extra damage on it. Whereas Lachdanan gets both a shield and a silence, and it does damage without ever having to hit a piece of structure. So it more comes down to, is this better because he doesn't need terrain to kick off all the effects? Or is this worse because a stun is better than a silence? And again, that itself is up for debate. So I don't know how I feel about this one, where it's kind of like a carbon copy, but better than another character's ability. Because you don't want to make someone obsolete when someone else can do their job better than them. But because of how vastly different Lachdanan's kit is so far, just with his trait from Diablo, I guess you can make the argument that's like, yeah, it's not the end of the world if 2 characters have mildly similar abilities. You're not going to be playing them for the same reasons. You wouldn't play Lachdanan based on his trait as a solo tank, whereas Diablo could tank an entire battlefield by himself. So, there's that. Either way, I do like the idea, and Charge was a really fun ability to manipulate in Diablo 2, where you just rush them and smash them with your shield, so, you know, I like it. Rallying Cry. Lachdanan lets loose a battle cry that heals himself for blah blah blah, every ally in the radius, up to a decent amount, actually a moderate chunk of health. All allies hit cannot fall below 100% of their movement speed for 1.5 seconds. I do like that, but I kind of wonder, a Rallying Cry to me, I don't normally see the word Rallying Cry around a heal. I see that as more of like a buff of some kind, like your attack is up or your attack speed is up, get in there kind of thing. But there's already a lot of characters that do that. Like, Raynor has an ability that just kicks off everybody's attack speed. There's that. Zul'jin can already do that on his own. Things like that. So, I guess you don't really have a lot that heals based on how many people were healed by it, which is interesting. I don't know. I kind of feel like I wouldn't make this a heal. I would make this like a minor shield to rush them in with that. But the movement speed thing, I get. I get that for Rallying Cry, because if you're bolstering allies to your side, you want them on your side, like, instantly, or you want them to, like, rush to you for aid. That makes sense, so they can't be slowed while this is happening. They can still be rooted, from what I can gather, but they can't be slowed down, which is nice. That's actually very handy itself. But I think I would make the health a shield, just because it doesn't seem to fit with the name. And that's only my issue with it, is the name itself. Like, the only time I've ever heard Rally be a heal was in Tales of Legendia, and we shouldn't be taking notes from Tales of Legendia. Like, I like that game, but we shouldn't be taking notes from that. So that's his uncursed form. So when he hits 100 curse and becomes Evil Lachdanan, his secondary abilities. So his Q becomes Disembowel. I like that. I like Disembowel. It's a good name. Lachdanan thrusts forward after a 0.2 second delay. It's an interesting, just like, so he goes, huh, huh, I guess. Enemies take decent damage as well as a further extra damage over 5 seconds. So it's like Poison Spear from Sonya or like Lunara and Nizibu's attacks. In addition, they are slow by 20% for the duration. It's a very linear, so it's basically that. And like the passive, it's the opposite of his other passive, which means auto attacks and disembowels the enemies from the front, unlike the back. Remove 5 curse. So to become uncursed, you have to perform honorable acts, which means hit them in the front as opposed to backstabbing them, which again makes a lot of sense. I do like how this is like the Bizarro form of his regular Q. Like, I kind of hope that's the trend you're going with all of these, and it looks like it based on the icons, where like your honorable attack can't hit the enemies in the back. Well, if you do, you gain curse, and now it's no, your dishonorable attack should hit them in the front, so you can lose your curse, and your tackle attack will do tackle attack. It's a Pokemon now. Your charge attack will do something extra on top of, instead of just the silence that it used to inflict before. And your healing ability will now make enemies lose HP instead of healing your allies based on how many you're around it. Like, stuff like that. I like that whole, like, yin and yang motif that a lot of characters always strive to get, but always kind of fall short of it. Whereas with the trait you've given Lachdanan, it makes a lot of sense if his abilities are like that, where this is all positives, and this is all negatives, and you're right here in the middle. Make it work. I like that. It's cool. So, Hellish Assault is your new W. Lachdanan instantly charges a medium-distant foe, blah, 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 unstoppable again. For every enemy he hits, he deals minor damage, and if they're a hero, he deals bonus damage equal to 15% of their maximum, or of their missing health. 50% of their so it does extra damage based on how much damage they've already taken. Oh, we're getting into Vigor territory here. That's what made that little bastard in League of Legends so good, is the fact that his, I think it was his ultimate, did damage and did additional damage based on how much health you were already missing. So the lower you were, the more susceptible you were to just being killed by this little bastard. And that's what we're going into here, which fits for an evil character. It does, because you're using a weakness and you're just pounding them into the dirt with it. So I like that. The only thing I kind of want to say, and I don't know if this is a talent that could buff this, or if you just thought it would be too broken if you did, but the only thing I'll say about Hellish Assault is if you're charging a guy, like, you're losing the silence, but it's being hit by more damage, which is good, but I kind of think you should, kind of like with Haymaker on Muradin, you should knock enemies aside that you charge through. Like, so basically you indicate your target, and if there's someone between you and them, it gets pushed aside. It's like, I don't know, maybe you've made this a skill shot, so if you've made this a skill shot, that immediately falls flat on its face, but if you haven't, that's the route I'd want to go with that. Just so you can be like, you, me, die, and then poof, with your shield, or, you know, whatever you're using. I'm assuming, and I'm hoping that when you say Lachdanan from D1, like, you've got his D3 portrait up there, I'm hoping he has the same armor he does in Diablo 1, like the Blood Knight armor from Diablo 1. I love that look. I would kill to play a character with that look. I love the fucking big-ass pointy helmet, the cool, like, azure blue armor, the shield with the skull on it. It looks badass. Make that the look. I don't care which form it's for. It could be for both. Just recolor it somehow, or make him shred the armor when he's uncursed or something, or when he is cursed. But something like that. You gotta go with that look. I love it. So either way, that's my 2 cents on his W. I would just add in the little knockaway thing, but if you think that's too broken, this is fine too. And his rallying cry becomes Bloodthirsty Cry. Lachdanan lets loose a battle cry that grants him a shield for every enemy hit. There's the shield I was talking about. Shield lasts for 4 seconds. Duration refills each time he deals damage. In addition, enemy heals are slow by... So, okay, there's the slow. So that's the opposite of the movement speed thing. But I still maintain, if you're going to go healing on the positive, you should go damage on the negative. But maybe, like... Maybe it's just, like, a flat damage as opposed to a rising one. Or you could do, like, a percent-based thing. Like, they lose, like, 5% of their max HP or something. Either that, or you could chain this with your Hellish Assault and have them take more damage based on how much health they're missing. Like, make that the theme. But I just feel like you have a really good, like, with the Q and the W, you've got really good, like, this is what it does when it's uncursed, this is what it does now that it's cursed. Whereas your E is a little bit too different between the two of them, because the opposite of a health gain is not a shield for yourself. It is minus health for your opponents. And again, maybe I'm just thinking too much in the whole yin-yang thing, but that's what it really feels like you were going for here. Beyond that, I do like it. It just, I still argue that the shield should be, actually, no, that gives me an idea. Okay, so if you were to change the E ability on Rallying Cry to become a shield, what you could do with his Bloodthirsty Cry is, rather than make it do damage, because you've already got damage dealing abilities, give Lachdanan a way to break shields. Like, either he lowers their armor by, like, 10 or something like that, like enough to take, like, a bit of chunks out of them, or if they have a shield like Zarya or Tassadar or anybody else who grants a shield to themselves, Joanna's another good example, you break the shield, or you do damage to the shield specifically. Because right now, I think Varian's the only one who has an anti-shield ability. And because Tassadar and Zarya are such good picks all over the place, it'd be nice to see another counter to them. It'd be nice to see someone who can be like, oh, they've got shields. Fuck that shield. Not health to them, or not damage to them, but damage to their shield specifically. So that would be really cool, and it does fit with the name, because, you know, if you're, like, bloodthirsty, if you're crazy, if you're berserk rage outing there, and someone puts up a shield to defend them, you're going to smash your way through that fucking shield to get at the guy you want to hit. You're not going to go around it. You're not going to Hulk out yourself so you can outlast them and then attack them. You're going to break whatever's in your way. Anyway, again, that's just my 2 cents, but I kind of feel like that would be a better way to go with this, because, one, you're adding a needed mechanic into the game. We need more people who can break shields. 2, you're keeping with the whole theme of, like, here's the ability, here's the corrupt, bizarro version of that ability. And 3, you're making me happy. And we all want me to be happy, because I'll just bitch otherwise. Alright, and on to heroic abilities. Number 1 is Blood Rain. Lachdanan creates a large area of effect, and it's starfall size, so thank you for the example there, it gives me a mental picture to work with. Enemies within it take minor damage per second. If Lachdanan's in it as well, he's healed for the damage and gains 5 curse every second. Damage and healing ticks every blah 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 seconds. Alright, now, I'm not going to say too much in regards to this one here, because I do know that Varkarrus and I were talking about this ability before I even started this video, and I was proposing certain ideas for it, and I don't know if she ever got around to changing it specifically, because this basically just feels like it's a better Tyrande ult, because you're also healing in it. Now, the difference is, Tyrande's also slows enemies, and it's global, whereas this is, she's assured me, this is not a global cast ability, so you still have to, like, cast it, engage in it. But it still feels very, very similar in tone. Now, like with the Diablo charge argument I made earlier, you could make the argument that you don't play Tyrande for the same reason you would play Lachdanan. They would be violently different characters with different roles. You definitely wouldn't play him as a support at all. You'd be crazy to play him as a support. So you could make that argument and say, like, yes, they're sort of similar, but they do eventually accomplish different things. I would still change it to something else, but honestly, I gave her ideas and I don't remember what any of them are anymore. And if she hasn't changed them, maybe it's because my ideas were kind of shit on that point. So it's fine. Either way, like, that's my 2 cents on Blood Rain. I think it's a little bit too close to Tyrande's ult, but there are enough differences that Blizzard could look at this and go, no, that's good enough, and just make that the ability. And it's still good. I would still use it. It's just, you know, diversity. It's the spice of life. And number 2 is Golden Elixir. Thank you. Thank you very much for including that. I was afraid it'd just be reduced to a talent, but I'm really glad you made it an ability, because Golden Elixir was his entire shtick in Diablo 1. Alright, Lachdanan drinks from a Golden Elixir. In addition to setting his curse to 0, he blinds all enemies in melee range for 2 seconds and heals for blah 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 HP for every 10% of his max curse review. Okay. Alright, that's interesting. So he heals for more depending on how much curse he has. Uh-huh. So that's the ult you take when you want to remain a tanky character. You start building up that curse, and once you hit like 95, you chug that Golden Elixir. So it better be an instant cast. Like, you hit the, you don't even have to, like, cast it, like, you don't have, it's like a smart cast on kind of thing. If you click the button, you immediately do it, is what I'm saying. Kind of like, Malfurion or Lily's ult. The healing ones, anyway. Yeah, kind of going like that, and then you heal a shit ton for that, plus they're blinded so they can't kill you in that time. Another thing that kind of throws me off is, like, that's Lachdanan's only way to access a blind, which is a weird way to go with it. And also, how does it blind them? Like, when he drinks, I'm thinking too meta into this, but when he drinks it, does his armor just shine with golden radiance, and everyone's like, ah, fuck, he's not cursed anymore? Like, is that how that works? Or does he, like, drink it and, like, smash the bottle in his hand and glass flies into the eyes of his enemies? Because if so, that should do some damage. But either way, like, I like that you've included the golden elixir as part of his heroic kit, which is nice. I feel like this doesn't do enough to justify, like, the Blood Rain would be better because it's also healing you. You can use it in regardless of which mode you're in. Yeah, actually, you know what? That's something to consider for Lachdanan as well. Because you've got his whole kit that changes based on what his ultimate is, or based on what his trait is. I kind of feel like this is one of the few characters that you could justify having one ultimate for, but it has two forms. And then the level 20 talent could buff one of those two forms. Like, you could have one that does this when you're uncursed and this when you're cursed, but then at level 20 you could buff one of those two things, depending on how you've played throughout that battle. Like, if you found that tanking up is better, you buff the non-cursed form, and if you found that assassinating is better, assassinating, I don't know, you buff the cursed form of it. Like, this could be one of the few characters you could get away with justifying that. Kind of like with Tracer and being able to change what kind of bomb she has, but she starts with it. You could change Lachdanan's ult to be something like that. And then you could just have Golden Elixir as its own little cooldown 1 ability if you want to just make it do something else. But either way, that's just my 2 cents. Like, I do like Golden Elixir. I kind of still think Blood Rain is better as it is right now. But if you were going to tank up, Golden Elixir would be good if you could get the timing down. Because the main thing to remember here is, like, it may not do as much as Blood Rain. It's got a 30-second cooldown. It's a potentially huge heal with a blind attached to it for 30 seconds, or like on a 30-second cooldown. So that's pretty good. So I wouldn't poo-poo that one. So his talents, level 1, Blessing of Humanity, Rallying Cry heals for 20% more, and also heals allies for 20% of the healing Lachdanan receives. So on top of healing them more, they also heal double more because they're healing off of you and off of the skill itself. Pretty good. I mean, not hard to change if you decide to make it a shield instead. You just make it more of a shield. Dark Gifts, be in cursed form. Okay, so Dark Gifts, the quest is to stay in cursed form, and the reward for that is for every 10 seconds spent in cursed form, gain 1% maximum life, up to 15%. That doesn't sound like a lot, but also I'm the kind of guy who looks at, like, the globe talents for tanks, like Joanna, Stitches, like the people who can get the ones that up their max HP when you finish the quest, and go, that doesn't feel like it's enough to justify that. Whereas a max HP boost of 15% is not too bad, and it's only, that'd be, what, 150 seconds? It's not that hard. Like, you could just, yeah, no, that wouldn't be that hard. You could just go into cursed form early on and start stabbing things in the back with all of your abilities. Or if you can't land the back shots with them, you just stab them in the front with your W instead of using your Q. Like, that could still work. So it'd be pretty easy to get Dark Gifts as a curse, or as a quest. Yeah. So that's not bad. And the number 3 is Volatile Curse. Maximum curse is reduced to 75, causing Lachdanan to switch forms more often. That's really, really good if you're really good at playing Lachdanan as he's built right now, and 2, if you're trying to get to Assassin that much faster, as opposed to just being a tank all the time. So, you know, that's it. So that's a really good talent, because it lets you kind of augment how you're going to play Lachdanan for the rest of that game, which I like. I like how that's a really early thing to do. Level 4, Honorable Duel. Basic attacks that hit from the front grant 10 armor for 2 seconds, and only cost 0.75 of his current health when cursed. This equates to blah, 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 less damage. Okay, that's good. I like that. I like how it gives you armor, and Honorable Duel is exactly what I was saying. You know, knights would not strike from the back, they would strike from the front. So, good. I wouldn't change that. I like that. Kingslayer. Valiant Charge now silences for 1.5 seconds, which was what? It was 0.5 before, wasn't it? So you get an additional 1 second of silence on Valiant Charge. I kind of want to say that sounds a little bit too good, but at the same time, that takes up your level 4 talent slot just to get 1 extra second on a silence you already have. So I'd say that's worth it. I'd say that's just balanced enough to be worth it. And level 4 is To Battle. Rallying Cry now prevents allies from being okay, so it stops them even more from being movement speed reduced. I actually kind of thought 100% of movement speed protection was, like, all of it, so I must be thinking that of 2 literal terms. But yeah, that's good, but I don't think that's better than Kingslayer, or Honorable Duel for that matter. So out of the 3 of them, To Battle is like the weakest one. Level 7, Fighting Dirty. Attacks, Brave Thrust, and disembowels that hit the enemy from behind. Generate a bonus 5 curse in either form. And you gain extra attack power on your base. So that's really good, because if you're trying to build Assassin Lachdanan, that's the ability you want. You want to see that really, really fast so you can just stay in cursed form and whittle the shit out of your enemy's HP. So that's good. Plus it stacks on both sides, so you can get to it faster. Or stay in it longer if you're already cursed. Bloodletting. Take damage equal to 10% of your max HP and gain 40 curse over 5 seconds. 30-second cooldown. Passive. Gain 20% more healing from all sources. Hell, I would... Fuck, if you were just trying to be a tank, you could just take that and never click the button for it. You could just take the extra healing. There's not enough abilities in this that give you additional healing. Like, Uther had a rework today that's in the PTR right now, and he's one of the first characters. I know he's not the first, but he's one of the first characters that has, like, a hit them with this. Now their healing is amplified when they get healed by something. Like, that's even better. There's not a lot of characters that can do that, so that's really good on its own. I kind of feel like altogether that's a little broken, but I don't know how you'd fix it. I don't know if you'd tweak the curse to be a little bit less, or if you tweak the healing to be a little bit less, but yeah, it seems too broken as it is right now. Just balance the numbers, I guess. And Strike Down, Valiant Charge generates 5 curse on impacting an enemy hero. Additional 15 curse is generated if they die within 2 seconds. Passive, Valiant Charge and Hellish Assault have their cooldowns reduced by 1 second on every auto attack. That's pretty good too. Shit, all 3 of the level 7 abilities are actually really, really good. I don't really have any thoughts on that one. I like that. Keep it as it is. Level 10, etc., etc. Level 13, Hellbound. Scoring a takedown or hitting a hero with Hellish Assault grants 20% movement speed for 4 seconds. Nah, it's not bad. I mean, it would allow you to chase down another enemy and then, you know, kill them too and just have it stack. This would be one of the few instances where I would say that 20% movement speed should stack with itself. But, like, if it does have the 4 seconds be degrading, so it, like, degrades over the course of 4 seconds, but only if you stack it, if that makes any sense at all. That's the way I'd go with that, because otherwise it's a level 13 talent that doesn't seem to do enough. Like, if you're already behind, you'll never take this. Or if you're building tank, you might never take this. So I would say let that stack with just its own movement speed, but have it degrade if it does. Blood Magic. Anytime Blood Magic's mentioned in the game, you got my attention. That's, like, one of my favorite classes to play as a Blood Mage in, like, any fantasy setting. Gain 20% ability while in cursed form, but abilities now cost 1.5% of your HP if they hit at least one enemy hero. That's fair. That has always been, that's how you do blood magic. It's always been, like, crazy strong ability power in exchange for your siphoning off your own life to do that. So I like that. Since you've already proven to me several times that you're really good at balancing things with numbers and math, so I always feel bad when I'm like, you should adjust these numbers. This to me feels like it might be a little overpowered, but I also feel like, no, I'm just not thinking about it clearly enough. So I don't think you need to change this. I really like it, but, you know, as long as you're sure of the numbers, go for it. I like it as it is. Inner Light. Casting ability while in cursed form reduces the cooldowns of all basic abilities by 1.25 seconds, including itself. And you can activate this while in cursed form to make your next ability be in its uncursed variant. That's pretty cool. So if you're trying to do, so if you need the silence off of your charge, you could click this and then charge them and do the silence. Or if you need the stun, you could click this, hit your Q on a guy who's running away, stun him, and you can still do the extra damage. So that's really cool too. I like that. Level 16, Feint. Hellish Assault and Valiant Charge have 35% reduced range. If it does not hit any targets, they can be recast instantly in 3 seconds and deal an extra bonus damage. Okay. Oh, alright, so you don't have to, you no longer have to hit things. Actually, I will ask one thing. Yeah, if you don't have to hit anything, but you can cast it again instantly, does it give you back the mana? I kind of feel like that should be, like, it should refund the mana if you don't hit something with it, and then you can use it again. But, like, that doesn't stack. Like, you could only do that once, and you get the mana back for free. I don't know how you'd word that in to make it sound, like, neat and tidy, but that's what I would go with for that, is just give them back their mana if they don't hit anything with it. From the Shadows, Hellish Assault and Valiant Charge have 100% increased range if used while in a bush run. That's such a dick move. It's a fucking Rengar thing from League of Legends. Just dive out of the bushes and just, like, die! But I like it, and it fits for, the cursed form. I don't know if I'd give that a buff, because the whole thing with Lachdanan in his uncursed form is he's honorable. An honorable guy would not wait in the bushes and rush you. So, I think that should only affect Hellish Assault, but maybe give that more range if that's the case. But then you need something to balance up the, I don't know. Find some way to make it so it works with Valiant as well, but From the Shadows does not make sense with Valiant Charge, because it's an honorable ability. It's an honorable dual character. Maybe I'm getting too mixed up into the politics of this whole thing, but still, that's my 2 cents on that. And Vanguard. Allies within melee range of Lachdanan in his uncursed form gain 15 armor. Allies within double the melee range of Lachdanan in his cursed form gain 20% attack speed. Shit, that one wins. Just for the fact that it has no downside. You get bonuses regardless of which form you're in, and they're both really fucking good. That one wins. Vanguard takes the cake. I'd almost move that to 20, just for that. I mean, the 20 ones are probably going to be really, really good because of that, but damn, I'd almost move that to 20. I like it. All right, level 20. Dichotomy of Man. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Blood Rain deals double damage when in cursed form and heals for twice as much when in uncursed form. Very basic. Again, if you were going to make any changes to Blood Rain in any way, shape, or form, you'd always have to augment this, but as it stands, this just makes it really good. I got nothing on that. Curse Control requires Golden Elixir, obviously. I mean, the other one requires Blood Rain, so I don't know why you wrote that down. Alright, so you can toggle it. When on, gain double curse from all sources. When off, curse decays twice as fast. So it's literally Curse Control. You turn it on and click, tank, click, untank. And its passive is Golden Elixir always heals for its full amount, even when used when cursed form. Oh, if used while in cursed form. Okay. That's pretty good. I do like that one as well. I kind of feel like it doesn't do enough if you're uncursed, like it does much more for the curse side of things, but again, it might be too broken if you gave it the same full heal in either side of it, so... But either way, I do like it, and it makes taking the slightly weaker ultimate at 10 a lot better, because you have full control over your state, so that's good. Last Resort, upon taking fatal damage in his uncursed form, regain 40% of your max HP and become fully cursed. A cooldown is 120 seconds. I would definitely raise that cooldown a little bit, just so it can't proc a little bit faster than that, because, like, yeah, that's 2 minutes, but that seems, like, really, really good, because you can just back out, and, like, because you can still take your, yeah, no, that would work. So what you could do is, you could take Golden Elixir at 10, and then take Last Resort at 20, basically die, come back with full curse on you, drink the Golden Elixir, fully heal yourself for all the curse you just lost, become uncursed, and run the fuck away. That is really good. And then you could just be gone for 2 minutes, wait up the cooldown, and come back. Like, that's stupider than a Joanna with the fucking giant shield can't die 20 perk. Or an Uther with his 20 perk of, hey, when your ghost thing is done, you come back. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a fan of the whole, when you kill something, it stays dead mentality. So, I mean, Oreo with Resurrect is like, that's one thing, that's its own thing. But this seems a little bit too good. So I would either up the cooldown, or you come back with like less health, or maybe while you're under the cooldown of this, you can't use Golden Elixir, something like that. But yeah, because I know 20 talents are supposed to be really, really good, and they are, but that seems too good, if that makes any sense. And his last one is Split Personality. Switching forms resets all basic ability cooldowns. So there you go. That's the one thing they did make a big point about. Varkarrus made a big point about at the beginning of this, is you do not get your cooldowns back when you switch forms. So you can't just be like, Q, instant switch, Q again. So this would allow you to do that. So that's also pretty good. I don't know if I'd make that a 20 talent, though. That's the thing, is I actually kind of feel like Vanguard is better than that, because you have to remember, when all is said and done, this is still a team-based game. So I kind of feel like Vanguard associates with that more than all for me that Split Personality has. So maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I just kind of feel like those two could be swapped and nobody would say boo about it. Maybe I'm wrong, though. So that was Lachdanan, a really, really cool concept that Varkarrus has come up with for us this time, where, you know, like this whole balancing of curse points and non-curse state, like, plays an integral role of how you play the character. Like, I would honestly classify him more as a multi-class after reading all this, more so than just a warrior, but so many things could be a multi-class in this game, and that's just gonna fuck with the matchmaking any more than it already is. Seriously, Blizzard, fix Varian. It's driving me crazy. But if you had any thoughts about Lachdanan, leave them in the comments below. Let Varkarrus know how these are going, because she is checking these actively, so you're giving her a lot of feedback to work with, and she's come up with a whole shit ton of more ideas for me to review down the road. Like, I got a list. It's crazy. So if you have any of your own ideas, send me a message, because I'd love to review them. People have so many creative ideas, and we just found out we're getting Genji for reals, and I'd much rather play Lachdanan than him. God damn it, I hate Genji. So this is everything for me today, and as always, you know, leave me a like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for the next time we review another fan-made hero concept, because these things are just getting cooler and cooler and cooler, and I'm excited. And Blizzard, make this a thing.